right, we are live, and of course, I've got the wrong screen up as usual, because, HeartlandDefenders.com, Heartland Defenders on YouTube, and on Facebook, which you are watching us from right now, if you're watching us live. Check out the HeartlandDefenders.com page. We have stuff up for sale. I think still we do. T-shirts. It's been a while. With the COVID thing, it's been quite a while. Anyways, let's get Jacob and Mike in here. Let's see. What button do I want to push today? That's not the right one. That's the right one. There we go. Hi, everybody.
What?
Oh,
Nothing going on today.
No, what? I've been kind of not feeling good today, so I don't think it's the Rona though. I think it's something else.
Don't go to the dentist or restaurants or anything. They'll be like, do you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea, any of these? Like Pepto will.
Hey, the last one I do.
Went to the dentist last week. I had to take a whole. Not only did I have to take, because I was supposed to go get my upper GI scope yet tomorrow, but so not only did I have to do a written, do you have any of these? Please check all the symptoms you have, which I kind of checked a couple. I'm like, I'm just gonna F with you. And then
and those F's made them go, nope, don't come in.
Well, then in addition to, they called me, and I was like, oh, is it because of my answers? And like, oh, no, now we're doing a 2-step process on the COVID. I'm like, you know what? How about we just reschedule for never?
Right.
So now I'm scheduled somewhere at the end of the year.
No,
they didn't like humor at all.
Am I the only one looking at it like, we went out to dinner right before the show, right? You walk up to the door, and there's a sign on the door. Mm-hmm. And what the sign says is, entering, walking through, and exiting, you have to be wearing a mask.
Right. Correct.
Got it. At what point does the hostess or host tell people who walk in without a mask that you can't be in here?
They can't. And that's because of the fact that most large companies right now are posting signs. They may not have it posted specifically, but most of the larger corporations are going under the assumption that if you enter their building that says signs are required or masks are required on a sign, and if you're entering without a mask, that they are just automatically assuming you're covered under the American Disability Act because there's something wrong with you that you can't wear a mask. They're not even asking.
That's true at Menards, though.
That's not that they're not even asking. Now, Menards is one of the very few ones that they're like, hey, what's up? What's going on?
Now, Whole Foods is doing it too.
Now, they're only allowed to ask, why aren't you wearing a mask? They can't specifically ask anything about what's wrong with you.
Well, but
does this apply to the you can't carry a firearm signs too?
Yeah, but what's weird is that if you watch that one guy, they called the cops on him because he refused to wear a mask, and they trespassed him.
But that's because he refused to leave as well. And so Stowe, up here by us, where I used to live, their police department has had so many incidences where people are like, no, I'm coming in to shop, and the store's like, no, you can leave. They won't leave, so Stowe's like, look, we're going to go ahead and tell the public right now, they have the right to ask you to leave.
Right.
And you do not have the right to stand there and stay and cause problems because you will get nailed for criminal trespass. Because once they ask you to leave once and you don't, you're actually violating in your criminal trespass.
So technically, even though you could say that for health reasons you can't wear it, they can still tell you, well, then you can't shop here.
If they want to take that risk, correct. Because at some point, if somebody does come back with a, look, I have proof, and you violated my American Disability Act because you can't tell me not to because of a disability, I could sue you then. And they can for violation of their rights under the American Disability Act.
Well, you know what, though? I've been pretty much taking the, you know what? If you want me to wear a mask, I'm not going to, and I won't shop it. No offense against the store, but I don't feel like doing it, so I won't shop there.
Right.
And the only thing I don't...
Has your county turned red?
Well,
yes.
No, I just don't,
Mine has.
It's fine. Because here's the problem that I have. The problem I have is with people getting upset upset at the business doing it because, and then they're like, oh, call a lawyer. But, well, wait a minute. Why do we want the government again? And we've talked about this, I think, several times. Man, I don't want government in private business. So if private businesses made that decision, then don't shop there.
Well, the problem is private businesses have to worry about the fact of their licenses, their soliciting license, their food license, their liquor license.
Well,
is controlled by the government.
Right. Any place tied in by the health department or liquor license, really the only two they can really hit up.
As a store, though,
not cover just about every store in some way, shape, or form.
Correct.
No, not really. No, because the health department, you may have to get a certificate when you first open, to make sure you have rat traps and shit like that. But they don't do an annual. Health department doesn't do an annual inspection at, let's say, Menards, who doesn't sell any. Doesn't have a deli counter, doesn't have anything like that. They don't do a health inspection.
Even if they have like a grocery section.
Yeah, because Menard has grocery section in there.
Only if they have a deli plate department where they're actually working with
food. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So otherwise they won't be. So I mean, I'm sure could they give them a hassle on their business license? I suppose, but no, the health department's different because this whole thing revolves around the health department.
And I've said it before offline. I'll say it here, but like I know there's companies that are like months behind, where right now the state of Ohio has decided that all these counties are the worst places to be on the planet, and you must wear a mask all the time, even though like the CDC says that we're all good, like the whole country. But anyway, that's a whole other. That's a whole other ball to go down.
Really said that though. There's those couple things that were going around. The WHO said this, and the CDC said this. If you go to their actual websites, they don't have any of that stuff that these people keep passing around. So I'm not sure when and where the CDC or the WHO. Not that I'm necessarily on board with what the WHO and the CDC say currently, because they seem to be running around in circles themselves on what they're saying.
Where I was going with this is the state of Ohio right now saying all these counties must wear masks in public, any place where you congregate or in close proximity. But companies are still like 2 months behind. The companies are like, we just need you to wear a mask, or here's our PVC, plexiglass.
Some are pretty right on top of it. I've noticed there's been a few that it's not just that stupid PVC glass that's hanging from a chain from the ceiling that sways in the wind and doesn't protect crap.
I pretty much appreciate the shower curtains the best.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
That
is my favorite.
My favorite. Went out for the weekend, went to a bar. My favorite is the 3 booth sections at the bar. They divided the bar up with 3 booth sections, or 3 stool sections. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. You're like
looking. Single's got to be a bitch.
Well, having a big group there's got to be a bitch too.
I'm sitting at the bar stool right next to this plexiglass, and I look at the plexiglass. And the dude beside me, no lie, the dude beside me is just staring at the plexiglass at me like this. Like, dude, look that way. No.
But you know what? But does this lead us to where one of the topics we were thinking about, the distractions?
Well, it does, because before you got on, just talking with Jacob about the distraction and how, because he asked me if I'd seen some of the stuff we were talking about right before we came on. And I had said, not really. I've kind of noticed that, without me being distracted by, keeping up with everything all week long, I've gotten a lot more done around here, in general, and with things I've been needing to get done. So, them keeping us distracted is also keeping us unhappy, I've noticed. Because of, if we're distracted, we're too busy doing this the whole time, then we're not getting things done that would normally keep us in. It's keeping us to where we're not looking up anymore because we're so distracted.
Yeah, but I'm not looking. I found myself not looking at, even my alternative news sources that I normally look at. I used to check .gov all the time. I used to look at other stuff.
Right.
And actually, a lot of it used to come through on my feed on Facebook, and like none of it does anymore because it's always this and this. And I really started thinking about it. So here's one discussion I had with my wife. So the statue's being taken down, and which I'm going to be, from my perspective, I don't care, to be honest with you. I really, because here's prime example. Until they were taking down the and how many times have we been to Columbus? How many events? I mean, a dozen at least.
Yeah.
And other things too. Right? We've met there. We've done things in Columbus. Do you know, until they said they were taking down the statue of Columbus in Columbus, I didn't even know there was a statue of Columbus in Columbus.
You didn't notice it? Well, we've walked by it many times.
Dude,
not paying attention.
Never. Never.
Hey, are they
never dawned on?
But here's a question. If everything ever before is racist, are they going to dismantle the Santa Maria or whatever ship is on the Olentangy River in Columbus?
Well,
there's like an entire rebuild of...
Off the coast of North Carolina, there's all kinds of slave ships. They should probably start unearthing them from the bottom of the ocean. I mean, those things are really racist.
But again, this is a distraction.
But the point I was getting at, though, really is the in the grand scheme of things. And I get cancel culture and I get all that, but does the Statue of Columbus not being in Columbus anymore, does it change anything?
No.
For either side.
Other than it, now that it doesn't, the people that it offends when they walk by it, it doesn't offend them anymore. It doesn't change anything. And on the same aspect,
but what did it do? It got us to be even angrier at each other
and more divided.
Over something I didn't even know was freaking there.
Well, and also this
here in town.
Well, and then
I know they take our cannon from downtown. There's a spot where a cannon sits, right? They take the cannon out every few months, every couple of years. They just make it go away, and then it comes back, and then it goes away, then it comes back, and then it goes away.
Is that for them weatherproofing it or something, or what?
No, it's because people bitch about it. They take it away, and then they bring it back, and then people bitch about it and they take it away.
Well,
Jacob Huner, I think most of it is because he's white. Because he's white. Why don't people like Columbus?
Well,
yeah.
The stories behind what he did. You're correct. The history of the stories, whatever history that you want to believe about Columbus or have heard about Columbus, which I was going to jump to that point is on the other side of it not doing anything, taking the statue away. The statue also, taking the statue away, hasn't changed our history or the thoughts and views of our history. What has is the fact of how it's been taught in how many years of school where we haven't talked about any of the horrific stuff that happened, like, how they defeated the Indians.
History in history books, period.
Well, right. They've completely wrote and re-edited history to make the winners look better, I guess.
But here's the most hilarious thing about all of that stuff that the leftists are screaming about and these groups are screaming about. These things that have been taken out of the history books have all been done by people they support.
Right.
I mean, it's liberal teachers unions and people who put the textbooks together. They're very liberal people, and they're the ones that have wiped all the stuff out of history books.
Right.
And yet now they're all mad because nobody teaches history.
Right. Well, actually, they don't really care about history so much, to my suspicion, because they're changing everything to be lies anyways. Well, to be untruthful.
Half of the statues they've torn down were crusaders against slavery.
Right.
Oh, come on. They
don't even know what they're tearing down.
The running gag is that Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery, and in 2020 he's now a racist.
Well, and that's, because he owned slaves. Well, at that point in time, everybody owned slaves. If of anybody that was anybody owned slaves.
I'm pretty sure there's been.
And why you don't? Why? And again, and see it. We're even falling into it right here.
Right.
It's all well, why and this and how and in the end, does it all freaking matter? I mean, if people are so blind, I think anymore, and myself included, to what that I think is really going on, and the fact that they're keeping us divided over bullshit, because I don't care that I don't care about the stupid statue.
Right.
It's like when we moved from place to place to place, and my wife kept all this crap from the kids from first grade and all this other shit like it was the memory. And I'm like, dude, you haven't looked at it for freaking 6 years, yet you still know the memory. So if I throw that shit away, you still have the memories and the history and whatever else went with it. It has nothing to do with the object. So them taking down statues and all, and all, it doesn't change the history. It doesn't change, not having a Confederate soldier doesn't change people who were born in the South and have a lot of history and pride and heritage with the Confederacy. That doesn't change now because the statue isn't there. Right. Because let's be honest, how many of these people even probably went to town to sit at the statue and look at the statue? Were there really people that every year went when did they go? Every year at the 4th of July. That's probably the only time they ever went and cared a shit about those statues. Right. I mean, yeah, sure. There are probably some historian groups that probably, use it as a teaching tool and shit. Yeah.
There's a video of that. There's a video of a man in D.C. debunking this shit and saying there's a lot of history here. You need to watch it. Matter of fact, here to your point, Cosper, I couldn't care less about a statue. What I do care about is the fact that when you take the spark that makes people talk about it away, they stop talking about it. Yeah. So to have the memory, we'll have the memory until the day we die of 2020. But my 4-year-olds will never have the memory of this year and what happened this year. Whether it's a race war, civil war, revolution, a complete erasing of all the bad shit that happened in the last 200-300 years, whatever the case may be, my 4-year-olds will never truly know what happened. Same concept as some of our kids. We'll never know what it felt like to be there on the 11th of September.
Right.
True.
They'll never know. So this same with us. They'll never know the feeling it was to watch the Challenger explode. They'll just never know.
Right. And I get that. And I get what Palmer just said. Once the statues are gone, what's next? And I get that. But I guess my bigger point is because I'm even a hypocrite about some of it because, if I saw someone spray painting over the Vietnam Wall while I was there, I'd probably stab him in the throat. So I have some hypocrisy in my thing about the statue.
To ass.
but the problem I guess I have is that okay, so they're taking this, but they're distracting us from the real problem. them taking down the statues, I don't think is the issue. It's it's the fact that there's so much shit still going on in Washington, D.C., and in our own state houses and in Congress and Senate. There's all these things going on, and we don't know anything about it. We are so distracted by all this other garbage going on in the country,
right,
and fighting each other and fighting over all lives matter and black lives and blue lives and a few lives and all this other bullshit that we're not paying. We've completely put blinders on to the real things going on in the world.
Right.
And that's the part that worries me, is that people are ready to jump into some kind of a civil or whatever, you like Jacob said, whatever war it is, and we're not even paying attention to what's going on outside of this little bubble. I just don't. It doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard for other people to see that we're being distracted.
Do you see it as an ends justifying the means? I mean, we all know about the Georgia Guidestones, and we know for the most part what they say. So do you see it as I can't remember who it was that posted it, but on Facebook I saw an article about a guy who was like punching a statue. I didn't get the reference. I'm being honest. But the comment to this post was 1, 2, 3, 4, the media starting a race war. We know that the media is left leaning. I'll be nice. Leaning. I think they're laying in the bed with the left, but we'll say left leaning. And when you watch the news, I've actually talked to old time anchors, the anchors I remember as a kid on 4, 6, and 10. I've gone to their house doing the job that I do, and actually had the chance to have conversations with them and ask them, why'd you stop? You're still young. Why'd you stop being an anchor? And their response was they used to be able to tell the news and the good stuff and the bad, and now it's just bad.
Well, and
sensationalism is everything. All they're there to tell you is somebody shot somebody, somebody's dead, somebody broke into something. And
no. Outside the door. They're only there to tell you when white guy shoots black guy.
Well, that's coming out now.
I mean, that's
what's coming out now.
Because it didn't register completely, and I started looking into it. I guarantee you find the article. If it just says man shot by man, or it's almost 9 out of 10 times it's not a white person that shot a black person. But if it was a white person that shot a black person, you better believe that it's a white shot black.
Well, right. Well, and again, is that keeping us distracted? Just like
I think so.
A good example of them doing the let's distract you with all the terrible things that are going on was the initial shooting of the black woman in Akron, where it was big news. It was huge news for a few days until they found out who the shooters were.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard the news since you've heard about who the shooters were?
At the very, 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 very bottom of their website now.
Right. So, and it was top news like it was for 3 or 4 days before they found out who the people were.
But that's a weird thing to me. It's not, I hear a lot of people saying it's a race war, but the funny thing is, it's like, it's not though. It's not a race war only because, so every Sunday now, up in the corner of our little town, well, actually not our town, the town next to us where I work, every Sunday, now there's a group of 12 to 15 people out there with Black Lives Matter signs. They're all white. Not a single black. And there are black people in the town next to me. It's not like nobody lives there.
I can tell you
are white.
I can tell you that in my little town, which isn't very little, it's a sizable town. Whenever you see BLM or Black Lives Matter scrawled over cars or whatever, the occupant and or driver and occupants are 90% Caucasian.
Right. But again, is this a distraction to where? Well, but so if we as in us three tend to have noticed, and we've talked about it before, that when there's large events that happen, we always come out of it with something new, like what happened with 9/11 and the Patriot Act, and the huge amount of privacy that's been stepped on in that aspect. Because before the Patriot Act, if somebody said, "Hey, we're gonna tap your phones without you even knowing," everybody would lose their damn minds. Now today, they're like, people have brought it up.
Facebook listens to me.
Yeah, right? Facebook listens to me to tell me what I can have a conversation with Jane about the squirting toilet seat that I saw the other day, and next thing I know, I've got 18 things on Facebook about the squirting toilet seat.
Yep. It's completely, but it's became the thing.
Well, and again though, but that's a huge thing that if 9/11 wouldn't have happened, they wouldn't have been able to squeeze that by. There's no way a settled community in a settled country would have allowed them to pass that without something major happening. They were just waiting for that.
Well, not to mention completely bipartisan too.
Right.
Everybody voted for that except for, I think, one independent, and I think there were only 2 or 3 people through Congress and Senate that voted against it. Everybody else was like, yeah, stop the terror, because, well, it's how they sold it to us.
Yep.
Right.
They sold it to the country as
terrorism.
We're just going to listen to terrorists.
Well, just like right now. Well, just like right now, we've got the COVID thing going on. We've got the potential, I don't want to say race war, but that's what it seems to be starting.
Let's not even stick with COVID. Right now,
but
step away from distractions.
No, it's still a distraction though, because it went away, and that's what all of a sudden. That's what, at least in my opinion, I'm going to say in my opinion right now. In my opinion, the reason why the media started pushing the George Floyd stuff and the riots so hard and the protests so hard was because COVID was becoming irrelevant. Everybody was feeling like they could just go outside and do whatever they wanted. And everybody was starting to feel better. And we were like, oh, this is great. This is awesome. And then they went, nope. And they shit right on our face and went, here you go. Here's some more heavy shit to deal with to now all of you to fight about again.
And we've talked about it, and we've talked about it here. I mean, so this is creepy. So I'd say for the last 3 to 4, probably 3 weeks mostly. Last 3 weeks, I've gotten in my, how Facebook does your memory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so 4 years ago was all the shooting and all that stuff in Dallas of the cops and all the upheaval about, the death then. And I also got at the same time from 8 years ago. Same thing. All lives matter, blue lives matter, black lives matter. Dude, Facebook is even chronicling it and sending it to us in our memories, and we're still like, oh, wow, that's an odd coincidence.
Right. Is that really a coincidence?
Weird. Kind of true.
I mean, dude, it's like we're watching right now. I'm watching 4 years ago and 8 years ago all over again, except every time it's taken another step. Yep. And then it's taken another step. And now look at Homer and I were talking about this a little bit. Dude, have you seen how many commercials have you seen? You want to talk about distractions?
Oh.
How many commercials now do you see with people with masks and it's like
mm-hmm.
Like that's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was gonna go to.
Okay.
We were talking about 9/11 and the Patriot Act. I personal opinion, honestly believe that if you are work from home right now, you are never going back to an office.
Oh, I bet there's a good portion.
They've already pushed me back to October, November now before I go back to my office, and that's still not even.
Almost not this year.
Push back. This is the reason why. It's your electric, it's your water, it's your internet. It's all you VPN in. You're done. Do your job. That's it. You do 10,000 meetings in a day just to make sure you're working. Your job's getting done. They're not doing anything else but paying you. Facilities will shut down because they don't have to have people in them. They can all work from home.
Right.
The fact that they could send half their employment home and have the job done like nothing happened tells you right now that this was not by accident.
Oh, you want to get even creepier with your point?
Go for it.
How many more people now have a camera at home in their office or their living room or somewhere else where they never had a camera connected to their computer? Why? How many more homes now have a laptop and a video camera attached to them now?
Hey, I've had 3 cameras in my office the whole damn time.
Well, so. Right, but my wife almost never had one, but now she's got her work computer now has. Think about how many people now have not only do they have a camera but a microphone in a room in their house. How many thousands and thousands of people that didn't have that now have to have that in order to be working at home?
Well, now you're getting into some of that conspiracy tinfoil hatting. But
yes,
back to the point I was making.
I got tinfoil around here somewhere.
Just one day, out of the blue, they could be like, "Hey, we're gonna send everybody home, and you're gonna work from home, and then we're just gonna keep pushing it back." So let's pretend that they did not be ahead of the game on this, knew something was coming down the pipe, knew that there was going to be a reason that everybody couldn't work in the office anymore, to where they had all of the protocols and all of the systems in place for massive, we're talking huge companies here that just decided to, hey, you're going home, bud. You're not going to come into the office anytime soon. That's a lot of money. Trust me, it's a lot of money to set up the infrastructure to accommodate that type of bandwidth utilization for that many people piping into your server.
Mm-hmm.
It's money. This has been known to be going on. They didn't do this by act. When they keep saying the new normal, that's what you're going to see out of this. Is this fear?
Well, you won't see the new normal. I already told my wife I'm gonna start stabbing people in the grocery store that say that to me. I'm just telling you right now.
Here's the problem with the at least a little bit. Anybody that's scared or worried about the fact that their cameras got into their homes and their microphones got into their homes, how long have you had one of these?
Oh, no, agreed.
And they're in everybody's hands, in everybody's room. No matter what room you're in, it goes with you 90% of the time.
Agreed. But a camera sitting, again, and I'm going way conspiracy.
Right. They've proved that with our cell phones, that's why there are people that are hiding from our U.S. government, because they came out with real evidence on WikiLeaks saying they're listening to us, they're spying on us, whether you like it or not, even for non-criminal reasons.
Well, right. Well, but we've known, for how long have we known, that you could hack a camera on a computer?
Well, right.
Pretty easily. You
could, but again, everybody was like, no, our government wouldn't do that. Wait, let me go find the tinfoil hat.
I would think even easier than on your cell phone. Because there were 15-year-old kids getting arrested for hacking into, peeping in on their neighbors, watching them through webcams. Right. So
20 years ago, everything.
but what is it? But what's net? So what is it? We know that 9/11 got the Patriot Act. We know that there things are happening. So what is the? I think there's a couple things that are happening now out of this. The Democratic Party with Black Lives Matter is getting a huge boost in their fundage. And I think Everyday Dave mentioned it now too. With COVID spiking, with the threats of a civil war or race war, how are we not going to be forced to vote from home? Well, and again, think about that. Well, go back to what we said right here. How many thousands of people now are in their homes, and all they're getting, this is their world now. Everything they get is right here, because this is where they work, this is where they play, because they can't go anywhere, or they're afraid. They've been conditioned to be afraid to go outside. They watch television, and now, man, everybody's wearing a mask. I can't go anywhere. I'm going to die. We're being controlled right here.
I'm telling you right now, I was at a job today, had a customer come out from her house, asked for some help. After talking with her and helping her out, come to find out, single mother with 2 kids, right? Interested in the politics, but did not focus on it. Definitely nowhere mindseted like us in this conversation here. Was asking.
Hey, hold on, hey, Jake, just for a minute. Can somebody tell us if the audio is good? Because it looks like we cut out for a minute. So.
Oh, no audio on me. It looks like. I don't know why that happened.
Well,
there we go. I did have I'm good now. It looks. I had some skips. So
okay.
We talk to each other in a bubble. We know that we know, and we know that the folks in our chat know. And I noticed the guy. I've never seen his name. WL. I'm not sure who you are.
He's popped on before. He's popped on.
Yep.
Not sure who you are. Sorry about that, but trust me, the 3 of us are well aware it's happening right now, and we're watching it. Well aware of it. The problem is that out of the 5 houses on each side of your house, the chances that all 10 of those people ain't got a flipping clue that anything is going on is about 75 to 95%.
Heck, the old lady next door didn't even realize the COVID thing was going on, and we were going to be locked down until she just gotten over being sick, and we had talked to her about it.
Well, hey, not only that. Think about this, and I saw something about it, and then I went out and kind of did my own experiment myself. If you were to watch just this, or the other box that your cable's connected to or whatever, right now, wouldn't you almost be afraid to talk to or approach, if you're a white male, wouldn't you almost be afraid to approach a black person, or afraid that you might offend them, but most people do. Most people would. And because they're being conditioned by this, yeah. And you would think that if you went outside or you went to downtown, it's a complete war zone. Yeah. Then this guy went out and he's like, what the world you see right here isn't real. He went out and he talked to all the, and man, he went out and just a body camera on and walked around, and man, you wouldn't know any of the shit that's happening here is even happening.
Right. That's why
nobody he ran into, there was no conflicts, there was no arguing, it was like, dude, this shit isn't real.
And that's what I said earlier. Me staying away from this bubble here and going and doing things in my real life Go and part of that was leaving the county I'm in to go shop somewhere in a different county because of it's mandated here for masks. And I'm telling you what, I'm not spending an hour in the store sweating my ass off under a mask. I'm not. And it's not because I don't respect somebody else's safety. Your paranoia is not my responsibility. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not.
But again, let's talk about distractions. If that is something that a person believes, because we know somebody that believes wholeheartedly that we need to wear masks. If that is your belief, then that is fine. The distraction is the fact that you and I don't need to fight about it. If I'm not going to wear it, but you're going to wear it for your protection, I'm not going to turn around from here, look you straight in the face and go, this close to you and go, I'm not going to do it. It's called respect. I got that a long ass time ago. Cough in your hand, cough in your elbow, do whatever you want. The argument is the distraction. The fighting amongst yourselves in your own circles, in your cliques over wear a mask, don't wear a mask, BLM, not BLM, all ALC.
Well, but just think about what you just said. Just think about what you just said. How many less we all know all three of us here like to talk. How many times? Yeah, I know.
I was trying to hold back. I really was.
Do you know how few? I mean, I used to, when I saw somebody at a store or somebody wearing, even a shirt with a flag on it or something interesting, or they were looking at something. I used to have conversations. Now it's like in a grocery store. It's seriously 1984. It's like, come in, get what you want, get in line, follow the steps. Right. Don't look at the person behind you. Just look at the cashier. Now put your coin in. Now walk out. Don't look. Wait, no. Walk out the proper exit. Don't do. Dude, follow the line. Dude, it's like we're being even programmed to not even speak to each other when we're outside of our house.
Right.
Yep. I mean, and it's like, and it's like, people, are you not looking like, are you not watching what's going on? I just don't get how people are so blind to, what's going on. And if you don't think there's something going on, man, then I mean.
And here's the scary part about it.
Is it just working?
Here's the scary part. It's been 5 months since this all started. Let's just talk about the COVID thing and the not looking at each other and don't breathe on each other, that whole thing. That way, if you don't look, you don't cough, you don't whatever. If it's only been 5 months and it's already, if you look around, it has changed so much compared to people having conversations with the cashiers at Walmart. Nobody has conversations with them anymore. I still specifically try to push it. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I had one lady the other day I was at the store. She was not having a conversation with me. She had her head down. She did not want to talk. She was just boom, boom, boom. Here's your stuff. Thanks. Have a nice day. And I'm like,
I mean, don't you? I mean, doesn't it sometimes? Did Jacob freeze on us?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh no, there he is.
He's got that glass thing between him and us.
He's got the king's shield in front of him.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, don't you sometimes feel it's like, it's almost like as they're coming in, they're coming out, it's like, aren't you just waiting for the signs to say board the train? I mean, that's how I feel sometimes when I'm in there and leaving these. I mean, it's like, dude, this is freaky.
Right.
It's like, it's messed up.
Well, I will say this, though. People have either gotten, and I think it's out of fear, I don't think it's out of courtesy. Before this all happened, when somebody would cut you off or, come right up on you, they just did it and didn't care, bumped into you, whatever. Now, they get within 6 feet, they're like, sorry, and they keep going, and I'm like, what? what's going on here?
Dude, it's messed up. I mean, it is seriously like, I mean, it, and you're right. It's amazing how in such a short time people have been conditioned. But then again, is it a short time? Is it just the progression of the Patriot Act starting then, or maybe even started before, and just every time there's an incident, it's a little bit more control, it's a little bit more, and and the problem is people like us who believe in following the rules, and we believe that, okay, you know what, this is the rules, I'm the good guy, I'm supposed to follow the rules. I mean, but isn't it getting to the point where, and I gotta imagine, and I haven't read enough. I've read enough to be dangerous about, what happened in Germany, but man, it sure seems like you could really tie a lot of things that have happened in Germany and China into things that are happening here. The control and the lack of freedoms and we have a disgust and a distaste for it, but when we go to a store, we stand on the blue dot, then we go to the next blue dot.
Yeah. I mean, mindless cattle.
Yeah, I mean it's scary.
It is, and so it takes 45 to 90 days depending on the intensity of the habit, but it takes 45 to 90 days to create a habit. So if it's been quite a big change for us, but it's been well over the 90 days, and we're still in this. And sadly, it's starting to feel like everybody's saying the new normal, because everybody looks like cattle or robots doing it. Now that they've done it for the 5 months, they're doing it.
How many times did the post come across your guys' feed for years where they did such and such and I stayed silent because it didn't affect me? They did such and such and I stayed silent because it didn't affect me. I did such and such and it didn't affect me, so I stayed silent. Then they did this and I said, hey, wait a minute. That's what you're watching.
I'm very close.
If you know that, if you're sitting over here in the comments going, yeah, that's exactly, you're right. If you know that, then you need to tell every person you know that you're standing in that situation. You are literally at that point where you're in the middle. You're right there where it's that last one where it didn't affect me, so I didn't say nothing. The next thing to happen, you're going to get fucked. And when you get fucked, you'll be like, hey, wait a minute, and it's too late. It's done.
I'm in a very angry place with all this. I mean, I'm at a point now, especially here we go. Thanks. Oh, well, thanks for being with us, WL.
8 o'clock Sunday night, bud.
Yep, next Sunday we'll be here. Yeah. But I'm starting to really, and maybe this is part of the end goal, but I'm really to the point that if I'm somewhere and I see a group of A beating on group of B, man, I've always felt like I would get out of my car and do something about it. I'm telling you, I'm at the point now that I'm almost afraid if I see something like that, because I'm going to get out of the car and I'm going to fucking do some damage. I mean, that's where I am anger-wise. Seeing these videos, and being conditioned with the videos, like we were talking about just before we came on, the videos of, this person beating up this person, beating up elderly, all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, I don't know, and I know from my high school days, because this happened in my high school days. I've done things to be a better person, but in my high school days, there were a couple of times where my anger, I mean, I damn near beat a kid to death I saw him backhand a girl in school. and it took 3 teachers to bring me off of him because I was trying to put his head through a locker repeatedly. And I mean, and I'm feeling that same.
Hey, as your attorney,
that same
as your attorney, allegedly.
Oh no, it's happened.
So one of the distractions or new things is the new tinfoil hat conspiracy thing. Is our government trying to do something bigger, and the whole mask thing is for them to get the facial recognition software? Because I'm seeing arguments online where people are being basically told they're stupid as hell for saying that. That they're trying to get that software to start identifying us just from here up.
Yeah, dude, I saw a bunch of recognition.
I'm seeing where facial recognition already does this.
Well,
right.
Now we're setting it to be able to get from here up and still work.
Right, and that's and so is this also a big testing phase in the fact that how many cameras are around you every time you enter a decent town, or even some small towns they've got cameras everywhere. They still use them.
Can you please post the tinfoil hat thing, because as one of the more IT people in here, it's too fucking late.
Well, it is.
It's too late.
I mean, but is it a training? Is it training to help finish the final testing in the, hey, we worked on it with a couple hundred people. It was okay. It did okay. Let's test it with a few million people by getting them to wear masks in public.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, every single motherfucker that has one of these,
yeah.
So they've got your face 9 ways to Sunday.
There are more things in my face on my
every single selfie you take.
Facebook already does it. How many times have you been tagged automatically without being tagged? You can search your name and find photos you didn't even know you were in.
Yep.
Dude, I found after it was probably about 4 months after we were at Moore. And all of a sudden, I started seeing all these photos. I can't remember what I was searching, but I searched my name for something because somebody had said something, and I can't remember. But I searched my name, and out of curiosity, I went to photos. And, dude, it had me recognized in photos that were not taken by anybody I knew. Yep. They were but Facebook knew my face.
Yep.
And automatically
and I'm waiting for some of our conspiracy-minded folks to come in there and go, but I don't take selfies, and I don't do this, and I don't do that. I'm letting everyone here know. It doesn't fucking matter. You can tell your phone, put me in airplane mode. It tracks you twice as much. In airplane mode, your phone tracks your freaking location twice as much. It's been proven.
It still has to.
In the COVID thing that everybody, T-Mobile, when everybody shut down for 5 hours one day because they were turning on COVID. You're right. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Luckily, they've never activated mine.
I don't give a shit what that thing says on there, where it says on your settings it's off. It's not. It's tracking. When your phone gets within 30 feet of another phone, it says you're within 30 feet. Period. Mm-hmm. It can say off, it can say on, it can say whatever. It can say the sky is green. It doesn't fucking matter. Period.
Right. Well, and get crazy, but I notice now when I use because I use my phone for my GPS, I plug it into my car. It's my Jeep. That's how the new. I didn't get GPS in my car because I plugged my phone.
Right.
For my GPS, because it's tracking me anyway, so I might as well use it. But I have noticed now, and somebody told me this, and I thought it was, yeah, right, whatever. There are Google check-ins now.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'll be driving, and all of a sudden, you'll see the Google thing on your screen,
mm-hmm. and
it's a check-in. And I thought at first, I'm like, all right, it's just a coincidence. I kind of wrecked it, because I saw this, and I thought, no, you know what? Every time I pass that same spot, my Google thing goes off.
Yep.
And it checks in.
Oh, you've not gotten the hey, Jacob Upperman's close to you.
No, I've never gotten
that notification.
No, I don't. That notification I did turn off because it was creeping me out.
Yeah. I don't want other people to know where the hell I'm
that's
at.
The thing. That's what I'm saying. You can turn it off all you want.
Oh, I know. I just don't get the notifications anymore. Yeah. I know it's still doing it, but I'm not getting told.
You're just not being told it.
Feel bad.
That's it.
Well, so what's really messed up is, and it'll really flip you out, at least for Google users. I don't know how it works for Apple. There's an actual history that if you go into, and you can't do it through your phone, you have to go online and do it. But you can actually go and look at every day where your car has gone or where you have gone in the state or in the... And it's not something that's like, you can access through your phone. You can't find it there. If you didn't know about it, then you never get on the computer, like a good percentage of people don't. They just use their phones. They never know. Dude, you could go back to any date you want since you've had a phone and had that account, and it'll show you wherever you go. Now, you can pick to delete it, and it'll delete it for you. It probably hasn't deleted on their servers, though. Just gonna say.
It's just like when you use Google Maps.
User agreement, it did.
Yeah. When you use Google Maps, how long did it took? It took it about 3 months from when I moved here to recognize. And now when I go onto Google Maps on my computer or on my phone, it says home, and if I blow up the screen, it'll show me where my work is, both my works.
Yep.
It knows. Yep. I never marked those spots.
Yep.
I never marked.
Oh, you never marked them? Oh my God.
No.
It must be the amount of time you spend there. They just automatically assume.
Yeah. Whatever algorithm they built into it figured out. Oh, that's where he goes every day. That must be work.
See, that's like so with my planning on things of where I want to go. If things hit the fan, I don't mark. I'll still mark them in my phone, but they don't get named anything that would state that. Right. So yeah, that's. But
again, GPS and you might. Put it. Oh yeah, of course it's always there. I use my phone, so I know. I just gave in and let them track me. But again, see, I mean, even us, you can see we're doing the same thing. We get right off into the distractions.
Yep.
And it's what's happening on a broad scale all across the. And again, what is is it the facial recognition? Is it to get us to vote by home? Is it to become a cashless society? Because how many people forever while they were at home never left? I mean, I had clients that when they were 8-9 weeks and never left their home.
Yeah.
So what were they doing? They weren't using cash. They were using their credit cards, their bank cards. And they never used cash for a week.
And people are crazy if they think
get into that one.
They're crazy if they think. Oh, I mean, we should probably get into it next week because for us, a lot of
it might be dead.
Well, so a lot for us. It's obvious for us what the negatives are with cash. You can't if you go a cashless society. You can't do anything off the books. You can't buy your neighbor's peaches off their tree without the government or anybody else knowing and tracking your sales. You can't do a side job helping somebody put up a fence without it being taxed, without it being whatever. Somebody can't give you money as a gift without the possibility of it being taxed.
You can't tip a waitress. You can't tip a waitress because I always tip waitresses cash. No. When I go pick up a pizza, I tip them in cash. All that, I give them cash. I give cash out as much. I always keep cash on me. My wife's always like, "Why do you have cash on you?" Because that's how I tip.
Yeah.
I always tip, and I tip everybody. I mean, I'm that guy. I tip everybody. I tip the guy at the lumber yard when he puts lumber in my work truck. I mean, I tip everybody, and to not be able to do that and have that human contact, or to have to make sure he's wearing a swipe piece, so I can swipe him and give him a tip. I mean, Holy crap! what a freaking rabbit hole that is.
Well, right, because sooner or later people's going to lose their things, and then, hey, why don't we just put it in a chip in our arm? We'll never lose it again without our arm getting chopped off.
If we're running conspiracy games right now, how many people's got a PayPal?
Oh, yeah. Most
how much
everybody.
Is it for a swipe? How much is it for a swipe unit for your PayPal? I'll tell you how much it is. You ask for it. They give it to you.
They charge you percentage per swipe, though, don't they?
Everybody with a PayPal can get a little swiper. All they got to do is go to PayPal and get this little swiper. The next you'll see is the bank's handing the bastards out. You just plug it into your phone and swipe cards.
How many apps? I mean, how many kids under 20 now, or let's say even probably under 25, 30, you see them all out to dinner together, and they all Venmo one guy all the money so he can pay the bill.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I mean, dude, they've already conditioned them to be ready for cash.
Well, shit, you don't even have to have the swipers though, because now they have software set up to where to use your card, you just take the camera, point at your card, it reads everything on the front of your card, fills everything out, and bloop, done, and asks for the number on the back, and that's it.
Yep, near field.
Yep.
You don't even need the number on the back. If you're holding your phone or your watch, it's just bleep, done.
Well, if you do Google Pay or Apple Pay,
you tap your phone and your watch.
Jane uses that all the time on her phone.
I mean, yeah. And is that all part of? I mean, is that all part of it? And then okay, so and I know we're up at it, but
yep.
So where does all of that lead us to? What is that? What's the end goal of all that?
You can be controlled even more. The control is even heavier. If you
right?
cannot have anything of monetary value in your hand, money or and obviously if you take away physical money, you take away trading with gold, silver, blah blah blah, because everything has to. Nobody's going to take it. Well, maybe if you barter with somebody, they might, but they're going to be able to control the fact of now you're even under more control. So now you can't step up and say, I'm not going to do that, because they have full control over you even being able to spend your own money.
Oh, of course. Well, not only that, they'll be able to know, let's be honest, most of us go to a gun show. Mm-hmm. We buy ammo or guns, or half the time, what do we buy them with? Cash at those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Not anymore. Now they're going to literally know they know most of what we do at home and what we bring home. Now they're going to know everything we bring home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's scary.
And it started with the whole, hey, you should get this card at your grocery store so that you can get discounts on gas and other things. It's really so they know what else to sell you and what your buying habits are. That's why every store does it.
Don't give me crap on my Speedway points.
Hey, Speedway points are just another way of knowing.
The only one that I think Speedway and gas stations are like the only ones that are like, you buy a lot of Mountain Dew, we'll give you a free Mountain Dew. You buy a lot of Pepsi, we'll give you.
Dude, I'm up to like 186,000 points at Speedway.
I keep losing my Speedway card and starting over.
They're not like you're not getting ads every 5 minutes to come in and buy M&Ms. They just do that at the door.
Well, right, and that's all that. That's a whole nother monster there.
Oh yeah, that's something I think maybe that's where we go next week. What's the end goal to all this? I mean,
I'm going to ask a question.
The pieces parts.
I'm going to ask a question to go in with that. If we're going to talk about what the end goal is, I'm going to ask. I can't even say one more time because I'm probably going to ask it until we're all either in a bloody war or we're all dead. But where's the line? When do we hit the fucking line? When is it? This is my question. When is it? I need to call my boss and say, hey, boss, I can't come to work today because that shit don't matter. Have you looked outside?
Let's just say the line is close because it annoys the shit out of Jane, but my preparing to go places longer than half hour to an hour away has changed.
Oh, I feel ya.
I'm packing for a week-long stay somewhere.
But the question?
I'm packing. Yes, for a week long. Yes, yeah. Oh yeah.
The question still comes up. Where's the line? You know, is a video that's going viral of somebody stabbing a bunch of people based on color in a subway car? I'm going to leave it at that. You look it up for yourself. But somebody stabbing a bunch of people in a subway car, is that the line? Well, is a bunch of people marching through the streets, fully armed and ready for war, wish related? Is that the line?
Okay, that's a different conversation.
I don't know where. I don't know what the. I honestly don't know if I know where the line. I feel like I will know when that line has been crossed, but I can tell you this again, and I think I've had this discussion with you, and I've had it with some other people. I for sure. When I was probably 15, 20 years ago, I always thought that I'd get close to that line, but I would never see that line in my lifetime. I'm now at a point where I think I'm closer to 80 to 85% chance that I'll see that line before I die.
I think we talked about it a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or one of the last few weeks that we've talked, the doomsday clock. If you don't know what it is, look up doomsday clock on Google.
Mm-hmm. And I never used to believe that clock.
We're 2 seconds to midnight, kids. Midnight, right. The world goes to shit.
Well, I thought it was 100 seconds.
Maybe it's changed. I couldn't.
I thought it was 100 seconds was as close as it's gotten. So, which is the closest it's ever been in history.
100 fucking seconds is still 100 fucking seconds.
Yeah, that's not very long.
But
it's 100 seconds to midnight.
It's just a bunch of
100 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a bunch of think tank people looking at the world, saying we're pretty close to shit.
Well, yeah, and they've never gotten this close.
Even with them. I cannot remember the exact amount of time we had, but even during the Cuban Missile Crisis, we were not 1,000 seconds to midnight.
No,
we were
this
like
is
minutes to midnight.
Even after 9/11, we weren't at 100 seconds.
I want to say 9/11 like 5 minutes from midnight.
Yeah, I mean, think about, and you're right. Think about 100 seconds.
1 minute 40 seconds.
That's nothing. And again, that's why I think that we are so. I feel like, and it sucks because and it doesn't suck for me as much as it sucks for my wife and my son and his soon-to-be daughter and so those are the people that. For me, I've lived a pretty good life, and I'm ready to go out, kicking and screaming. But for them, I mean, that sucks.
Well, a lot of people have not even thought about where their line is, let alone what they'll do when they hit that line. So, and that's something you have to talk. You have to seriously sit down with yourself, think about what your line is and what you will have to do at that moment that you hit that line. Line was tested when what's that guy's name was, where the whole Boogaloo movement came from, where he was live streaming from his house because they were raiding his house. A lot of guys were like, "This is the line." Yeah,
right.
So I mean, even though that there was some more stuff behind that later on, a lot of guys went, "This is the line. I'm going." And you got to think about it.
And again, and it's what's hard to me, and I know we're way past, but what's hard for me is that I see where I'm at now. The line that I see here, and on my television, although that's not on very often anymore, but the line I see here is different than the line I see when I'm outside of here. And that's the part that's got me. I don't know where that line is right now, because right now I think they've done such a good job of creating an alternate reality to reality
Right.
that I'm not sure where that is,
Right.
where that line is. The line's close in the real world and here, but so I guess that's why I don't know where that line is right now.
It's compartmentalized. To you know what, to end it. It's one of those things where being prepared is probably your best benefit right now. You know, I had a conversation with my wife tonight. With, you know, if I did something that would get me in trouble, but save my life, and I was punished for doing it, would you still love me? And the answer at 6 months ago probably would have been completely different. Why'd you do the fucking stupid thing that got you in trouble? But today the answer was yes, of course, because situationally it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
To be told you can't do something because it's wrong, just as the signs, you know what I'm talking about, the signs. 6 months ago, it was wrong to walk to bypass the sign. Today, I don't give a fuck about that sign, because I'm not going to be a soft fucking target. And what I'm seeing on TV, if it's possible anywhere, it's possible here.
Well, and
I'm not going to be that target.
And don't let the screen skew that. Like Casper said, the screen is trying to skew your depth perception of where your line is.
Mm-hmm.
And
but
don't let it.
What I'm saying is preparedness is one of the best things you can have right now. If you've never shot a firearm, find somebody to help you learn.
There's a lot of new people doing it.
If you've never thought about a CCW or a CHL, same thing. Find somebody and learn. Then do some more training and some more training. If you have the time to do it, do it. And be prepared. Because if it can happen there, it can happen here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and not only that too, I think you have to, you know, as hard as it is for a lot of people, you have to get away from here. You have to get away from this, and you have to go out in the real world and get the temperature in the real world too. Before you cross that line because of something you've seen here, you need to see where the real world is first. And then don't get me wrong, there's a lot of scary stuff going on in the real world. You know, there's real world problems, you know, happening right now, and there are very, very bad things happening. But don't let this be your only place to create that line for you.
Right.
Don't let this be the only place.
Trust.
Go out and see in the real world, because I think you'll realize there's a lot more allies in the real world than this is allowing you to believe.
Right. And
Okay,
this
like
is
I
also
said,
allowing everybody to basically say and be what they wouldn't be in the real world.
Like I said today, complete stranger started a conversation about internet, Wi-Fi, ended the conversation on who you voting for.
No.
and not in a bad way.
I know what you're saying. All right, right.
It was. You sound like you know what you're talking about. You're involved in this stuff. So I'm not, and I don't pay attention to it. And I'm kind of scared of what's going on. This is a person I'm sitting there talking to that literally tells me that her and her children have been in her house since before this started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And since this started, have not left. The furthest they've gone is to the swimming pool at their apartment complex.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's where they're at, is there. Like,
and that's not an easy way to gauge.
Your sanity is gone. It's like you take a human being and you stick them in the same room, and the only thing they have is a TV and the internet, and all you constantly throw at them is bad, bad, and bad. In their minds, everything's bad.
Right. And Dave, I don't mean everybody. It doesn't allow everybody. Just a lot of people are total assholes on the internet, but won't be face to face.
Oh no, Dave, you were an asshole in person.
Oh
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anyway. So on that note, we're gonna cut on out of here at 15 minutes after. Everybody, be safe. Thank you for spending your time with us this evening.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And definitely join us next Sunday because I think we really need to keep talking about this stuff for sure.
Yes, we do. And thank you guys again for your evening as well.
Yes.
Bring a friend.
Yeah.
Bring a friend.
Like, share with your friends. Share with your family. Again, like I say almost every week, even if you don't like them, share that with your family.
Got a guy last week said that his dad caught the last 10 minutes of this, and when we say his dad, we mean a very liberal individual. Caught the last 10 minutes of us on the show and thought it was hilarious.
Well, wow.
We'll take it.
Okay. So, yes, thank you for joining. Everybody have a safe week. Be good and nice to each other, and be good and nice to the people around you. Everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.